Financial aid is often one of the biggest questions that we get when we're talking to students, and with good reason, since pursuing a post-secondary education is not always the cheapest option. So let's dig in a little bit to some basics with how the financial aid process works. The first thing, and probably the most important thing to consider as you are looking into financial aid, is something called the FAFSA, which stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. In order to be considered for any need-based aid, scholarships, grants, or loans, students must have a completed FAFSA on file. Information that you need when you fill out a FAFSA is fairly basic, but you will need to make sure you find your papers or other information. That's personal income, student income, and asset information, parent and guardian income and asset information, and any tax information from the previous year. It is definitely helpful to know which schools you have applied to or you will apply to so that you can, right on the FAFSA application, say what those schools are. Then those schools will receive your FAFSA information a little bit quicker. You can access that application on studentaid.gov, and every year that application opens on October 1st. FAFSA money at each school is a first-come, first-served endeavor. It's probably fairly rare for a school to run out of money. However, it's probably wise to get it filled out as soon as possible so you have the best picture moving forward as you make your college decisions. Some other things to consider as you are looking at financial aid are scholarships, and everybody wants as many scholarships as possible. Some basics with how it works. You will get college or university-specific scholarships. Those can be merit-based, and in most cases, your application to the school is also your application for those scholarships. There are also need-based scholarships at different colleges and universities, and the way that those scholarships are calculated is completely based on your FAFSA information, which is why it's so important to fill that out. There are also specific scholarships at each college that might be based on what you're pursuing as a major, any special abilities you have, or other considerations. It's good to just do that research on school websites. And it's important to know that scholarships may require a test score and they may not, so doing your research is important. There are also private scholarships that exist. Those are a little bit different, and so it's important as a student to do a little bit of a cost-benefit analysis. It does take a significant amount of time and effort to search for scholarships and apply for them. You will need things like essays. You might need things like letters of recommendation, and it will be important to write a different essay for each private scholarship that you might be pursuing. You can start by checking any local or business or jobs that you may have had. There are also plenty of scholarship databases, and please feel free to talk to one of the guidance counselors who can help you in this process. Grants exist when you are looking into financial aid. Again, filling out the FAFSA is your way to get some of these grants. There are 3 grants that are need-based. The Pell Grant, a Supplemental Education Opportunity Grant, and then a Minnesota State Grant. All those things are fairly similar in how they work, but again, they use your FAFSA information to determine how much money you might get. Grants do not need to be paid back. There are other grants that exist for people in very special circumstances. One's called the Teach Grant. If you're interested in education, you can get a Teach Grant, and that grant does not have to be paid back as long as you are serving in a school for at least 4 years that is in what's called a high-need area or a low-income area. There are also grants available to students who have had a parent or parents not only serve in Iraq and Afghanistan, but die in battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. So a fairly rare grant there. Nobody wants to take out student loans, but oftentimes student loans are necessary to pursue higher education. There are a few different types of loans you should be aware of. The first is a direct federal subsidized loan, and you guessed it, you need to fill out your FAFSA to be eligible for this loan. The government gives this loan money out, and it's need-based. Some interesting things and good things about this loan is that you don't have to make payments while you're a student, and interest does not start accruing while you're a student. No credit check is required, and the government sets the rate for the entire school year. This year, it is a 5.5% rate. That is a fixed rate. There's also an unsubsidized loan. That loan is not based on student need, and also payments are not required, but interest does start accruing while you are a student. So it's in your best interest to get as much subsidized loan as possible. The rate on that is the same as the unsubsidized rate is the same as the subsidized. Finally, there are also private loans that are available from different banks. It's not based on any need, but a credit check is going to be required, and oftentimes that's on both the parent and the student. And since oftentimes students are a bit too young or don't have what's necessary to apply for such a sizable loan, a cosigner is almost always required. Big differences here is that interest does start accruing while you're a student. Some private student loans are going to require repayment while you're a student, and the rates here are going to vary pretty significantly from as low as 4% to as high as 12%. It's also important to know if that rate is going to be adjustable or if it's going to be fixed.